So big part that why we're having this webinar tonight and then with the agenda here is pretty much like how to prepare for the upcoming tax season and have it more like stress free and more successful. So just kind of like if you pre-plan now, it's just going to make things way easier down the road. So big part is, from a general housekeeping, how things are going to go is like we'll have some base rules, and then from there, I'm going to talk about what you can do each month. So from December, January, February, March, April, kind of like the next few months here, what to anticipate and how to really get the most out of your taxes and kind of be aware of what's going on just as a reminder. I think, we've been filing taxes for who knows how long at this point. Each year is very similar, but also a little different for you. But yeah, big part so from a general housekeeping perspective, the big part for, us is just the organization. So being organized is going to make your life super easy. So, obviously we have a secure portal. If you don't have the TaxDome app yet on your phone, grab the TaxDome app on your phone and then everything just toss in there or else you just, things get lost in email through text. It's not a great, easy way. Having one nice secured portal is super easy. And, anytime you see any document, between, in January, February, March, or just in general, you get that's related to taxes. I always tell folks, hey, bust up the app, take a photo of it, toss in tax stone if you have that. If you're using another CPA provider or using TurboTax or anything like that, just save it into a folder. That's going to be, the best way for everything to go, or just scan it right away. So anytime you get a document before you misplace it, make sure you have a great home for it. Kind of like what Marie Kondo says is like everything has a home and you always put it back in the home of where it's at. So that's going to be your big part on staying organized. And then your next part would just be, for all our clients, we're actually working on this new community, building this in school. And essentially what this is we're gonna start doing like a workshop clinic, kind of like an office hour type of style, twice a week with our tax advisors. And then we will be rotating that between me, Cole, Ryan, Eldar. So it'll be kind of like a new thing that we're trying out. And I think that'll be a cool way for customers to get support while not having to wait too long, not being billed separately, and then also kind of be a nice way to meet other people within the industry. So that's going to be a new thing that we're kind of rolling out. I'm just kind of finalizing those items before we really kick off invites and everyone gets invited towards that side. So without further ado, just hopping into it here is that let's just go through the months of what to do. So I'm just going to go through each month and what to prepare for. So first, December, we got 13, 13 days left. So it's like, what's the magic that can happen in the last 13 days? So the big part is money movement. So in terms of money movement, this is where you really want to start pushing money around if you need to. Big part that gets most people is going to be your backdoor Roth IRA. This is what most people think you can do next year, but you can't. So if you want to do your backdoor Roth IRA, you have to contribute towards it now and backdoor it now. You can't do it, in the next year. Next year you can only do a normal Roth IRA. But if you make too much money mean about $150,000 if you're single, you won't be able to do a normal Roth IRA. So think about if you want to do a backdoor Roth IRA, may be your time, but just be aware that if you have money sitting in a traditional IRA, you will also be subject to some taxes. So plan accordingly there, just in case. The next part would just be income shifting. So the big part is this one's mostly held for if you have kids or you have parents that you support. This is a big area for an income shifting perspective. So if you need to pay them, you gotta pay them now, or else forever hold your breath, and it won't happen for this year. So make sure that you're gonna be able to pay your kids if you want to. Also reimbursements, and this is really big for making sure that you capture your reimbursements. So if you have an S corporation, multi-member partnership, getting those reimbursements done now, so you lock that in, is also going to be big for you. And the last one that I'll leave with before we move on to the next month is just front loading expenses. So if you already know that you have to spend some money next year anyways, so for example, you're going to go to a conference, so hey, you can buy tickets to the conference, you have to buy a flight, you're going to have to buy a hotel. You can front load that now so you get the write-off now. Because the big difference is that if you lock it in December, this affects your tax liability in April 26, versus if you bought in January of 26, this affects your tax liability in April of 27. So yeah, literally my sister, she's an artist, and then she said, should I buy the inventory now or next month? And I had to explain it to her. It's like, hey, if you lock in, say you have a 20K expense, assuming a 30% tax rate, that's going to save you 6K in taxes because there's a loophole that says if you're under $25 million, you're able to write off your inventory as you receive it now. So that's going to be good and big for you in terms of December. Now, moving into January, this is the big month. This is where the winners are made. And so there's a ton in January. So this part is really big. So for our clients here, the week of 1/5 is we're going to send out our organizers. Essentially, what the organizer is where we're going to gather all your data. So from your income statements to your financials to your W-2s, your 1099s, 1098s, brokerage forms. That's going to be where when you receive your organizer. At that same time, so that's first part. Number two is you're going to have your scheduled date. So, from last year's feedback that we got and received from our clients was like being in the know of when your return is going to start. So, for example, like, hey, if you're scheduled in, the week of 2/2, then that's going to be your tax return window. We're aiming about for a two-ish week turnaround time for all our returns this year because we have 3 layers that goes through from our associates to our seniors to review it to our managers that review it. So you'll receive your scheduled date the week of 1/5. Then from here, the next part is your big date is 115. If you owe any estimated taxes, you want to pay those in now. So for Q4. So this is when your Q4 estimated taxes are due. If you don't pay these in, you're going to have the not so friendly penalties and interest. So you want to make sure you have some payment paid in by this point. Otherwise, you're just going to face a little bit of penalty, a little bit of interest. It's not going to be the end of the world, but it's kind of like overdraft fees. Like if you're aware of it, you shouldn't have to pay these. So just as a heads up there. So being aware of 115, and then the next part would just be in like the end of the month. So 131. So just kind of going through the dates that'll be important. So on 131, this is when all the payroll forms are due. So if you had 1099s for contractors that work on your company, work on your rentals, your 1099s are due. And also at the same point too, this is when our business organizers are going to be due. So if you have a business that is either a multi-member LLC or an S corporation, this is when we're going to need your organizer by in order for us to squeeze you in and make sure we're not delaying anything. And the big confusing thing too that we've seen year over year is in the organizer is the question is, do I have all my documents? And that's always a big question to know, like, do you have all your documents or not? And if you don't know, so I would say, hey, fill out the organizer to your best ability. If you don't know, just literally just reach out to our team and we're going to review everything in your organizer before we even start your return. So if we're going to review everything, and if we're missing anything, we'll let you know what we're missing. And then that way we'll need all your documents before we file your taxes. So if we're missing documents, we'll let you know. We will need that back within 3 business days in order for us to make sure where your file stays on track. So that's going to be your big dates here. So that's in terms of dates you want to be aware of 1/5, 115, 131, those weeks. Now within January though, this is why I said kind of where the winners are made. So your financials are huge here. So if you have so this is the big part, is your income statement. So IS, I always just abbreviate for income statement. Also, you may hear it as your profit and loss statement. So I know a lot of people don't do their financials all year round. This is your time to do it in January. So get your income statement ready. The other one's the balance sheet, and most people always don't have this, and it causes a lot of delays in tax returns. So you can't do a tax return, a business tax return, without a balance sheet. So right now is your time to really get this in order. Your best tools that you want to use here are going to be QuickBooks Online. That's going to help you a lot. There was also a new AI one that I was at a conference that looked pretty promising, and it was called Digits. And this was able to use AI to help you categorize transactions and reconcile. So that was pretty cool. Of course, we have accounting services that can help you out too if you need it. So your financials are going to be big. Within the financials, as you do this, is your forms are going to come out in January and February. So forms you want to look out for is going to be your 1098s and your 1099s. So your 1098s, this is for your mortgage interest. So if you own a home, you will want to look out for these. You want to make sure you exactly report what's on the 1098, or else, you could get a nice little, audit or letter from the IRS saying these don't match. The same goes for your 1099s. This one you got to be really careful and mindful of is that for your 1099s, if they don't match, once again, what you report on your Schedule E or your C, you could also be facing a nice little audit or letter. This trips people up a lot. The big thing is that sometimes your 1099s that I've seen from property managers is that it includes your repairs, right? So if your financials going back up to here, your income statement, if I move all the way back up to here, your income statement may have a different amount of rent compared to what was actually issued on that 1099. So make sure that your 1099s and your income statements match out, or else you're going to get in some hot water. So that's the big part about 1099s, making sure like you don't have any surprises there. And then lastly, a part of your financials here would just be your assets. So just knowing what did you buy in terms of assets, whether that's vehicles here, you got, obviously homes, real estate, that's just going to be big. And if you're not breaking that out or mentioning it, they they disappear. So for example, if you bought a car, and you don't have a good balance sheet, it's not going to show up on your income statement because you don't write off the car. It goes on your balance sheet and you depreciate it. So just making sure you have good financials in place. If you're ever confused in terms of, what you're looking for, just always reach out. More than happy to guide you on that side there. And then this is also a great time in the year to just start, thinking about, tax planning. The big part is, usually what I like to do is around like a May/November timeframe, because that gives you enough time to actually see where your income's going to be, what kind of deals you're going to be doing for the year. And then in November is a nice time to know, hey, how did the year actually finish out? So those are, but January, the reason why I mentioned in January right now is kind of like as you have your New Year goals, right? You got your New Year goals, you got your fitness goals, is also put up your tax goals. So your tax goals should be reflective of this. So if you know, hey, I'm going to make, let's just say 250K this year, what can I do to reduce that amount? So having this is going to be good for you. Start thinking about the tax planning. The next part is just going to be in February now. So I'm going to move all the way back up top. So now we've gone from January and now we're going to go to February. So February, this one's, the big dates here that you're gonna have to remember for us here is 228. So this is when your personal organizer, so for your 1040 tax return, is due. So this is due. And then this way it'll give us adequate time in order for us to file an extension for you if we need to, and also calculate that extension for you. So 228 is going to be big. Also at this time, usually in late February, this is usually when brokerage statements come out. So if you have your, generally I'd say your Schwab, your Robinhood, these tend to come out towards the later part of the month. So making sure that you're gonna have your brokerage statements ready. The tough part these days is that there's, people have like 3+ brokerages versus back in the day, I feel like I only saw like one or two. So your brokerage statements are going to be important. Also, if you are on the marketplace, your 1095A form, this one will actually delay your tax return. So make sure you have your 1095A for your health insurance if you get that through the marketplace. This one, you have to pay back some of it if you didn't pay enough. So this form's super important for the 1095A for your healthcare. And then at the same time, I can't remember, did I write it over here? I don't think so. Oh yeah, this is a good time also to get your IRS PIN. So if you ever had issues with your identity, this is a great way to protect your identity. You will need a new one, new per year. So you do need an IRS PIN every year. What an IRS PIN is, essentially, it's just a six-digit code that goes on your tax return. And then this way, no one can steal your identity. So actually, there was one client last year we actually saw it like happen. We filed a return and it got rejected. And we're like, why did it get rejected? And it got rejected because someone else used their social security number already and filed on them and they couldn't file anymore. So it became kind of a headache and a half for him. And now he has an IRS PIN he'll have to get each year. So 228 is going to be the big part there for you. Nothing else too crazy in that February month. Now moving into March, this is when things start to turn up. So in March, these are your big dates here. So it's going to be 3/15. This is the actual due date for if you have an S corp return or a multi-member LLC. So these are the actual due dates that it's going to be done. If not, it's a couple $100 per month per partner that it's not. So the penalties will add up a ton. The other part too is like if you can't get it done in time, that's fine. Just go ahead and get yourself an extension. The extension will push you back all the way to 9/15 and buy you a lot more time. And the big part is that if you have real estate, generally a lot of partnerships, they tend to extend at this point. So watch out if you invest in real estate deals, you will have your real estate tends to always extend and you generally speaking won't get until the summer. I've seen some as late as the 9/15 deadline. So be aware if you're investing in that. This is the game time. Also, for anyone that is doing the pass-through any tax election, your return has to be filed by 3/15 also. So you'll miss out on that tax savings if you don't complete that by March 15th. And then the next part is just going to be in April here. So once again, that was the heat of the season for March. And then April is the crazy month that no one likes, but besides us. April is 4/15. There's many things that are here. So number one is for your C Corp return. If you have a C corporation return, this is when it's due. Number two would be your 1040 tax return. This is your personal taxes. Once again, you can extend, and that extension is going to allow you to get all the way till 1015 for extensions. And then the other third part that gets a lot of people is that your 2026 Q1 estimated taxes are due at this point too. So a lot of tax dollars here that need to go out if you have that. And the other big part that I want everyone to know is that when you extend down here, an extension, they're kind of good and bad. So extension, definitely, it is not the end of the world. Some people do have to extend. Primarily, the big reason why is one, we don't have all the information yet. Generally speaking, we don't have everyone that's preparing all their books going back to here, right, in January, right? So you're not preparing their financials, not getting a balance sheet at this point. The main part is the information. Number two, for the extension is once again, you get more time. So you get more time, but this is the big one that gets everyone every year. The big one that get the I gotcha one is that you have to pay your taxes on 4/15. So extension only gets you more time. It does not get you not more time to pay though, to pay more time for information. So this is really big is that you have to pay by 4/15 no matter what. And sometimes this is, just causes a lot of stress or like, how much do I pay? That's why we go back and we ask for all our clients to get us everything by 228. That allows us to be in a good spot in order for us to get that time for you here. And then, some returns will be in the summer and in the late fall anyways, because you won't have everything. So you extend also because you have the K1. So K1s are kind of like the bane of many people's existence. Part of it's ours too, because we can't actually finish your tax return until you have the K1, but the K1 comes from another company. So be aware of that. And I recommend that if you kind of know that you're already going to have to owe something, generally speaking, is if you owed last year, you're probably going to owe this year unless you've done something to not owe. And to plan for this, I would say on, April 1st, mark your calendar, actually transfer some money from your savings to your checking account so you're going to be able to unlock and pay the IRS. It's as simple as just going online to pay. There was also, this was kind of a cool one I saw, was there is a credit card service that allows you to pay your taxes, and I think is around like a 1.8% fee they charge. So if you have one of those bonus reward cards or you have a 2% cash back, you can actually pay your taxes with the credit card and not be paying extra fees. So that's going to be very well, another way to pay. If you don't have the cash to pay for it now, just go ahead and do that. If you don't pay, there's a lot of penalties. So if you miss the payment, and kind of why I'm spending some more time on this is that we've seen it year over year, and we just don't want it to happen to you. Is number one, you first get a failure to pay penalty. So that one's gonna hurt there. And then number two is they'll assess interest on how much that you owed. So, it's just kind of like a double whammy if you don't pay enough, failure to pay and interest by not putting that amount in. So 415, do mark your calendars, start transferring some money. The other part too is during 415, there's the key parts here is that you have your special accounts. These special accounts that you can still contribute by is your HSA. You can still put in money for the 2025 tax year by 415 of 26. So you technically get about four months extra to put money into your HSA if you have not maxed that out. Number two is you could do the traditional or Roth IRA if you qualify. So this would be $7,000 that you can put in that can help you here. That's another great account. And then number three is these don't have to go in. This is kind of a hack. But if you have your SEP IRAs or you have your solo 401ks, you can also put in, if you can put in by 415, or if you extend, you can actually have till 1015. Same thing works over here as on the March side, if you extend, you'll have until 9/15 to also put money into your SEP IRA or your 401k. So the cool part is that if you play your cards right, you actually have 10 months of 2026 to contribute for 2025. It's just a way to earn more money, spread more money. And it's one of my favorites just because if you say put 20K into retirement and you're at a 30% tax bracket again, I guess that's my go-to numbers all the time. This is literally you're getting paid 6K, you'll save 6K in taxes to put 20K into your retirement. So you can think about the government almost matched you, 33% here, or 30% technically for you to put money in. So using this is huge for you. And that would conclude, the most of everything from your or where it started in December to January to February, March, and April. And besides that, how the other big parts that we mentioned, if we just fast forward into the future that you want to be aware of would just be your September and October. They're going to be very similar, but this is like the final stretch. So essentially in September, if you extended, you have until 9/15. And then for your business returns, so this would be your S Corp. And then this would also be your multi-member LLC. And then for your October, of course, this would be your 1040, and this is the final. This is the final countdown here. There's no more time at this point. So you definitely want to avoid being the September, October if you can. Obviously, stuff happens, life happens, but you really don't want to miss it at this point. Otherwise, we had the failure to pay penalty. You would also have the failure to file penalty. So this would also be big and huge here is if you miss it, you have the failure to file penalty. So in order to again get most prepared, just to, recap everything here is really having your documents in order. So in January, like I said, you get your organizer. You also have your financials, get your financials ready, your balance sheet ready. And that way it'll make super smooth. Use softwares like QuickBooks or Digits and get your accounting in order. And then for all the forms, they're just going to send them all out to you. So you're going to see them in January. You're also going to see them in February, maybe trickle into March a little bit too. So watch out for all the forms. They're going to come in the mail. Also, if you lose anything, there is the backup of the IRS transcript. It may not have everything, but a great tip for you is that if you just use the IRS transcript, then you can compare everything that the IRS got reported to your name. So the IRS transcript, essentially, this IRS is a checks and IRS is a checks and balances system. So checks and balances, essentially, if you have a W-2, the IRS will get one copy, you get one copy, just as the individual. And then from here, you would, if these don't balance, that's how audits happen. So what you can do as a cautionary part is to pull your transcript each time you file your taxes, before you file your taxes, compare everything against it and make sure nothing was missed. So this is like one trick or hack that we do sometimes when people are unsure about, hey, do I have all the documents and everything? So just kind of like a little tip and pointer for you there. But overall, I would say if you look out for all your documents throughout the whole year or January, February, every time you see it, toss it in the folder, toss it in the tax dome, and then get your organizers done by those dates, you're gonna have a super big, easy tax season. If not, it's gonna be like pulling teeth a bit. So that's kind of like the big part that I had for, everyone here tonight is just to know the dates, know what's aware, and then if you have any questions, just reach out to our team. More than happy to help anyone out, answer questions, just because the taxes are no fun already, and just try to make it more smooth. If there's any questions from anyone, feel free to, if you want to unmute or if you want to just drop in the chat, more than happy to answer those questions for you here. If not, definitely appreciate everyone coming in, listening in on the late night. I know we kind of just got this going, but we're on the really kind of get things ahead of the game here, get a communication increased for all our clients just to help better serve you guys. Cool, cool. All right. I think you want to go maybe another minute and then I think we should be good. Jeffrey, yeah, office hours. Yeah, so let me actually give you a sneak preview if I can share screen, okay? I am This is actually my Christmas gift to myself as I need to finish this up. Been kind of training my team on this, but let me pull this up and share screen here. So let's see here. We will. Okay. So here, just kind of finalizing items, but let me share my screen. Is it this here? And then share. All right, cool. So yeah, in terms of what we got going on here, so I really want to lean into community and just meeting more of our clients overall and serving them. And what we're doing is in our calendar here. So for example, if we go next month is a better month because a lot of my team's off for the holidays. But what we have going on is that twice a week here, you'll have a couple sessions they're spread out across different times. So we got 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 6 p.m., 12. So we're trying to like space out so everyone can attend. But essentially, this would just be, for example, this is Ryan. Essentially, we'll have a little small lesson and then a live Q&A. So if you have questions that you need answers to, as long as you can just hop into one of these sessions, you can make it. Here's mine that I'll just drop in some tax strategy lesson and then open up for Q&A. So I'll be doing that every other week myself. So I got 6 p.m.s. I think Ryan's got the 8s. Who's got the 9? Eldar's got the 9 a.m.s. And I think Cole should have the noons there. So this is our way to just kind of get more time. So if you want to ask questions without being billed separately, great place to just hop in. This isn't a group setting, but the main part for us is that we're learning that many of our clients have the same questions anyways. And then afterwards, we're going to save them down in here and people can watch past recordings. And the next part is we are trying to start up like kind of like a forum part. This is super raw. Still, I'm not completely done with it, but also like, hey, just more group parts and having our members all added in here. Right now, it's just mostly my team as we're kind of standing this up at this moment, but super excited to roll this out to people. And then from there, we would be just able to get you more support and more success overall. So we just want to provide more access really for you. So anyone that's filing taxes or you're on our tax membership programs, you'll have total access to this, no additional charge for you. Clay, all right, what's up, Clay? First time CPA Dude customer and just filed your LLC formation in California in December and paid for CPA to file for me. Can you send a list of everything I need to collect during and how to do all that? Oh yeah, so definitely we will be sending that organizer in January, the first week of January, and then that way it'll allow you to answer all the questions and see everything that you do need. And then also too, Clay, if you got any questions additionally, I think hopping into those office hours. I'm probably gonna get one of my tax managers to go in there and you guys asking, hey, do I have everything? So what'll happen will be we'll send out an organizer to you, give it your best attempt to put everything in that you do know. It'll pretty much guide you along the whole way. And then whatever you don't know, just submit it. Then our team will go ahead and review everything you sent. And if we're missing stuff, then we'll send it back to you and then let you know, hey, these are the remaining missing items that we're going to need. So should be pretty seamless for you there. But of course, if you need anything, we will have that whole group community live. So feel free just to hop in and ask any type of questions also. Great question there. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, no, thanks for, being a customer here. Always appreciate the support on that side. And yeah, we're just trying to really get more interactions with our clients overall. It's always it's always fun to meet folks here. So great, thank you. All right. Great questions. And yeah, anything else for the evening? Yeah. If not, yeah, definitely we'll be going. You'll definitely be hearing more from us as we go. We got our comms locked and loaded with my ops manager, so we'll be really guiding you along the way. And then, like I say, if you ever need anything, just reach out. More than happy to help anyone here. But yeah, thank you everyone for attending tonight, and we'll send out the call recording to everyone. And have a happy holiday if I don't talk to you then, and we'll see you at the next tax session here. Thank you. Have a great night.